My nightmare stepmom sold my late mother's watch to buy a new car for herself, so I'm destroying the car. My stepmother married my dad just a year ago, and she is already easily my least favorite person in the entire world. She first came along just a few months after my mother died, and I questioned dad as to how he could move on so easily. He gave a vague answer, but I remember just before my mother's passing she was starting to get suspicions of infidelity. And now I'm thinking my stepmother was my father's affair partner while my mother was terminally ill. I don't want to believe it, but it's a possibility. My stepmother is not a nice person, and although she is not straight up nasty to me directly, she does everything she can to remove any memory of my mother out of the home and out of my life. The very first thing she did when she moved in was demand all pictures of her be taken down in the house, even in my bedroom. She went on to demand my dad remove all of his memories of my mother, memories which she herself gave to him. My dad ended up giving in to her despite protesting at first. And although she is not straight up nasty to me directly, she does everything she can to remove any memory of my mother out of the home and out of my life. The very first thing she did when she moved in was demand all pictures of her be taken down in the house, even in my bedroom. Of course I did comply with this, but my father took her side, which led to me taking the pictures and placing them in my ensuite bathroom instead. This already got us off to a bad start, but things only got worse. She went on to demand my dad remove all of his memories of my mother, memories which she herself gave to him. My dad ended up giving in to her despite protesting at first. She has even gone as far as banning the mention of my mother around her, as she does not want to hear about her at all. All of this makes me feel super alienated from my stepmother, and I want no part in her life. Thanks God, from bad to ugly about a month ago when I came home from my maternal grandmother's with a new watch. The watch looks expensive and it looks bougie, and it was a watch I had only found out about myself that day. My grandmother told me it was a family heirloom and the tradition is to pass it down to the daughter after death, and she was going to pass it to my mom soon. But now that my mom is gone, it will be passed to me. My grandmother said that she wanted me to have it now, as it is usually passed to the daughter after the death of the mother, and even though my grandmother was not dead, my mother was, and that it was right to have it passed to me now. Well, when my stepmother saw the watch she kind of flipped out. She knows a bit about watches as her father collects them, and she was able to spot that this one was of high value. We got into an argument about it over dinner. She asked me where I got it, and I explained the story of the watch to her. She then offered to buy it off me for $1,000, and I declined, saying it was priceless to me. She upped her offer to $2,000, then $3,000. Then when I said no, $7,500, she flipped out. She told me that I was an idiot for holding onto a silly watch when I could have so much money. I screamed at her, saying this was yet another example of her trying to remove my mother from my life, and I will not let her take the watch. My father stayed quiet for this whole dinner as I excused myself to go upstairs. As I was walking up, she said she's going to have my watch one way or another. I heard them arguing later, but I did not make many details out. I thought my stepmother had dropped the watch as she had not brought it up for a while, but it turns out that she had completely gone behind my back and took matters into her own hands. I came home 3 days ago to find a brand new car in the driveway, and I questioned my dad as to who bought it. He told me it was my stepmother's, and I thought that was that. Well, when I was getting ready to go out for food with my boyfriend later, I wanted to wear the watch, and so I went looking for it. After being unable to find it after looking through every place I could have put it, I thought about the possibility of my stepmother taking it, her words a month ago ringing in my ears. It was a shot in the dark. But I went up to my dad and stepmom and started accusing her of stealing it. As I said, it was a shot in the dark, but my stepmom instantly went into denial mode and my dad looked flustered. Seeing this was no longer a shot in the dark, I started seriously pressing while hoping this was not true. They kept denying, but I relentlessly kept pestering them over and over until my dad admitted it. My stepmother started seething at my dad for admitting it, and I started yelling immediately at her. She defended herself, saying she needed a new car, and I flipped out even more. Her car was perfectly functioning. She had no way to defend herself other than telling the truth, which was that she wanted the watch gone because she did not want me to be bonded with my mother. She went on to break down into crocodile tears and cry about how she wanted to feel like a mother, but the things I do make her feel like she'll never be my mother. I responded saying that she's right. She's never be my mother, and went upstairs. My dad didn't talk to me that day. He and stepmonster haven't spoken to me in the last 3 days as they believe what I said is disgusting and disrespectful. However, I am not going down without a fight. Tomorrow during the night, my friends and I will egg her car, stick feathers on it, cover the inside of it in manure, honey. We might toss some spiders and insects into it. We might slash some tires and car seats. There's no way she will get away with this. Also, I have found whom she sold the watch to, and it was her father, who I have only met once. He seems nice though. I plan to try to get the watch back from him. Update. So this is perhaps the most positive update I could be making. My mother woke up screaming, and woke up the whole house with her. As stated in my previous post, I destroyed her car with the help of my friends. I ended up sneaking out the house with her car keys late in the night, and we took the car for a spin first. It was a good car. It almost hurt to completely destroy it, but we did it anyway, of course. We first egged her car silently, poured honey and syrup on it, then feathers all over it. We also slashed every tire. Unfortunately, we did not get our hands on any spiders, but we did manage to catch a lot of ants and random insects in a Ziploc bag and we let them loose in our car. We also left some apples and oranges for the insects to munch on in the car. We keyed the car too, and covered the entire inside in feathers and syrup too. Our proudest creation, however, was the literal 5 pounds bag of poop which we got thanks to one of my friends collecting his 3 pit bulls' poop for the past few days. That was dumped all over the car too. When I came out in the morning, I feasted my eyes upon this creation, and it was truly the most simultaneously beautiful and disgusting thing I've ever seen. I saw my stepmother break down and cry, and she did not even dare to get inside when she saw the dog poop, feathers, honey, apples and insects inside. She tried to blame me first, literally going as far as lunging at me and trying to grab me, but I called her crazy and claimed I did not do this. I knew our house had no cameras. All my friends wore gloves. There's no way anyone will be able to tell who did it without a confession from one of us. And I know we won't do that. I have also secretly been in contact with my stepmother's father and explained the situation about the watch to him. He told me he understands how precious family heirlooms are and he would feel awful if he kept one and he is willing to return it. He says the only compensation he wants is for me to have lunch with him as his wife died 10 years ago. And his daughter doesn't visit much so he doesn't have much human contact. I think this is very